And we're here. That was thanks for that, Batty. Super helpful. Hey everybody. It is the days are getting longer and our sanity meters are getting lower and everything's right with the world. But we're here to put away the worries and concerns of this modern complex life and spend some time escaping into a fantasy world, a simpler time, where all you have to worry about is super mutants and feral ghouls and death claws and raiders and, floating fog that will irradiate you before it dissolves your flesh and bones and giant mosquitoes and, a better time, a simpler time. A time when everyone was brought together by the struggle to survive and avoid being horribly mutated in Fallout. Hey, why don't you guys introduce yourselves and remind us a little bit about your characters? Let's start with you, Batty.
Hi, I'm the back one. That's all I got. I play Zam, who is a vault dweller, and they've been, I guess the technical word, they got kicked out of their vault by their robot mother, who Zam is not enjoying that at all. But they met some new playmates or friends with Royce and Stan, who are taking Zam to the zoo with his Mr. Handy Mortimer. So Zam can get a bird and then name that bird, and that's the arc that they've set up on themselves.
In the languages drift over time. It's burb now.
Oh, burb. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yep. Yep. Still learning.
Cool. Hey, villain.
I'm your only villain, Bill. I play Stan Likely. So I am a ghoul. That's kind of just like a raider, or not really a raider. A mercenary. That's the word I was looking for. Just kind of chilling with Roy up here. We've been kind of just doing some odd jobs, everything else, and then we found a vault, and we found this guy up here named Zam, and now we're taking him to the zoo.
Sure.
Rift.
Hello, it's me. I'm Rith_13. I'm playing Royce, who's kind of a mercenary. He's the guy who knows the guys to get something done. So yeah, we got a radio signal of the vaults. We checked it out and found out Zam. And with a real live vault dweller, Royce wants to get Zam to the university because he's got a buddy there who will find him fascinating. And whether or not the zoo happens, we'll see. But his goal is to get to the U.
Yes. Well, they're not that entirely far apart. But if I recall correctly, the last time that we saw your little band of wanderers, you had just departed Hinky Town, where you did some shopping, got some cool new stuff, which is nice. You probably broke a certain artisan's heart because you didn't want to have a fancy helmet made with like Dayglow unicorn horns and decals and stuff like that. So that's fine. You can never go back. And you definitely didn't attract the attention of the mayor of Hinky Town, and certainly people aren't plotting on capturing Zam and harvesting their organs for, experimentation or culinary purposes. We don't know. So yeah, well, what's happening?
I guess we are headed south on the main road, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Just booking it as quick as you can.
Yeah. That's a pretty solid strategy.
I'm taking in the sights. They look horrible.
Well, I think as we covered before, now Zam wouldn't know this, but certainly Stan would, having come having traveled a bit, Minnesota is actually kind of nice, relatively, compared to other parts of the world. It is relatively green. It is, I mean, full of awful, awful stuff. But many of the worst of the beasts, except for like the insects and stuff, are aquatic because there's so much water, so many swamps and lakes and stuff like that. So yeah, the good news is it makes traveling a little bit more pleasant. The bad news is because there actually are trees, it's very difficult to like watch the horizon to see if horrible creatures are sneaking up on you to eat you. So not that that's happening now, but it might. It might. So, Royce, I think you're leading the group, right? As the only person who's kind of a local. So
Yep.
what kind of check do you think we should make to see if you get in any trouble?
Let's see.
Like survival? Could be. Could
I was
be
probably a good one.
could be perception. See how see whether you're keeping your eyes out. Could be sneak. But I'm going to say you need to set the tone to see what the primary kind of approach, and unless it literally is we are walking down the middle of the road singing and talking loudly.
I'm gonna go with sneak, as in we're gonna move, but we're gonna try and move and not draw attention to ourselves.
Okay. Cool.
So
I assume everyone else is on board with that.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's get some sneaks.
all right, I have
I think
2 not successes. So I have a sneak of 2, agility of 5, but I rolled an 11 and a 16.
ooh. No es mi bueno.
So let me give you let me buy an action point.
Cool.
So I will re-roll the 16 and then keep the 11, but then I have a daring nature, so I get to re-roll one of the tests. So I'm rolling my bottom dice and one of the other ones.
Okay.
And that is a 1 and an 18.
Oh. Cool.
So,
So that's 2 successes. Well done.
mhm.
That'll get you that action point back. Well, so actually, it'll just add an action point because you had to give me one. So
Right.
you've got an action point that you can bank for someone else to use if you'd like.
I got 1 success on my sneak roll.
Okay, you're good.
I got 2 successes.
Ooh, well done. It's not that hard. So cool. Well, you now, as a group, unless someone wants to spend one of those action points you just earned, you now have 2 action points in the bank.
Thanks.
I think we bank them.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say that's gonna get you down. Probably. So you're going down the North Road. You probably pass a few just really badly decayed and rusted signs. Rith, you know that at one time this was something 35 highway or route or something. No one really knows, but you know, you can see every once in a while there's a number. And I think that will get you down to the ruins of Pine City. So this is a place where this area has not been like resettled, potentially because there was just as a fluke of nature, a lot of irradiated runoff collected here shortly after the bombs dropped. It's just not a great place. And it sits between two lakes, and the road is undercut by a river that connects these two lakes. So it's quite marshy, and the road here is very treacherous. So there's a choice. Folks have, and specifically the MNG, Megasota National Guard, have put up some fairly okay kind of metallic grating over some of the areas where the infrastructure has collapsed. But they don't really use it. Most of them and many people actually try to kind of go around just because it's a little rickety. It doesn't quite feel great. And there's actually a few farms and settlements out to the west of here. So you're going to have to make a decision about the way you go. Now, taking a detour to the west will obviously take time. But could be safer.
I say we just go across the bridge. I mean, we kind of want to get somewhere kind of quick, right? We want to get some distance between us and Hinky. I know we're not trying to draw exactly a whole lot of attention towards ourselves, but us going the west path, I mean, we're gonna go across some people's farms and stuff like that. I mean, if that's the path most traveled, we're gonna end up bringing attention to ourselves.
Yeah, I'm good with the bridge or makeshift bridge route.
Okay. Cool. You know what?
I'm gonna lean on Stan to make sure that thing is
Stable. Yeah, I
stable,
agree.
worthy.
Who has the highest luck?
Maybe.
It's got a couple of
7
fives. A 7?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't we just see how lucky you are?
Alrighty. Not very. So on a luck check, I got a 14 and 18, so no successes.
Okay.
But we have a die to use.
Yeah.
There's 2 dice.
We got
Wow.
2 action points, but the cost escalates with each die.
Yeah,
so
I can only use 1. And then it's a 20. So
even better, a complication. Or whatever they call it in Fallout. It's the same thing.
Yeah. So the second, if I want to buy a second die, I have to give you 1 action point and use the one that we have banked.
Yeah.
You can also give them threat, right?
There's
That's
no
what-
threat. I just get
Okay.
action. I just get action points. It's the
which
same
he has
thing.
an infinite amount of anyway.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that because I'm gonna leverage my daring nature to be able to reroll that 20.
Yes.
So we don't have any banked action points. Giving you 1, and I'm rolling 2 more die, and that's a 1 and an 18. So we went from no successes and a complication to 2 successes.
So how does this narratively play out? Because it was like gonna not be great, then it was gonna be terrible, and then you pulled it out in the end.
So I think what happened is we were crossing some of these like causeways, these makeshift metal sections, and they had like 2 different paths going because one of them at points doesn't work and the other one, so they like shifted at times. And as we're crossing over one of them, it totally bails out and it looks like it's going to dump us straight into the water, the irradiated mess. And then I was able to somehow shift it where we just kind of slide down onto the next pathway up ahead.
Oh, okay.
So kind of like there was a higher one, and then we jump in, and it's not as nice, and it's like right above the water, but we landed
Out
and
of the
make
water.
it.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you, so there is a very rusted, like walkway, like almost like a catwalk
Yeah.
that is suspended underneath, and the concrete in the road deck has eroded and collapsed in a couple of places. But you are through quick action able to just shift your weight so that the collapsing plank basically connected with
Quick
you.
action
So
and a lot of dumb luck. Yeah,
yes.
we'll put it that way.
So everyone kind of tumbles onto this swaying causeway of or catwalk of rusted metal. You're now probably about, because the water level is higher, you're now probably about 15 feet above the water. And it's murky, maybe glows very faintly,
Sounds
smells
atrocious.
super awful. And the sounds you hear, other than the kind of sucking and popping sound of the water and the faint kind of groaning and moaning of the structure as a whole in the wind, is the squeal and pop of this catwalk having 3 people's weight on it for the first time in a century or more. And you're all like showered in little bits of dust, like concrete dust, as the wires I guess they're poles that would suspend the catwalk that are riveted into the underside of the concrete are gradually loosening with every step. What do?
Must go quickly.
We should maybe spread out just a little bit so that way the weight isn't all in one spot. That might actually help a little bit too. So quickly, but spread out a little bit. At least 6 feet apart from each other, I would say.
Yeah, so I guess I'll probably be now we'll have Stan be in the lead for the bridge. And so he can move a little bit ahead. Zam's in the middle. I'll move a little bit back across the causeway, and then just kind of spread ourselves out. And if one of the sheets go in the water, we don't all go in the drink. It'll just be one of us.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so how about I'm going to say we probably need an athletics from everyone, but I'm going to reduce the difficulty by 1 because of the idea of spreading out. So it'll just be a difficulty 1. And this is to reflect quick action and stepping in the right places and all of that good stuff.
So that's strength athletics, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I got 1 success.
Cool.
Also got 1 success.
I got no successes.
Uh-oh. So yeah, I think what happens is this. Stan, you were going first. Zam, you're in the middle. Is that what we said?
Yes.
With Royce at the back. And I think what happens is, so you have moved to a place where Stan, you have now stepped kind of into the little crotch in the kind of Y-shaped pylon holding up the deck, and maybe have stopped for a second because it looks like, it's hard to tell, but probably years ago someone had kind of made this their little hideout. So you see a very, very moldy and decayed, that tan sleeping bag that it seems like is the only sleeping bag that exists in the entire world. There's probably one of those beaten up blue cooler, a few Nuka-Cola bottles, and mysteriously a lit cigarette for no reason, even though no one's been here for 100 years. That kind of stuff. Maybe some rad roach meat that apparently doesn't ever rot because it's radioactive. I don't know. So maybe you stop for a second, and you also see that there's a ladder going down, kind of very close to that, and there's a kind of a shift and a crack, and a big chunk of concrete collapses from the bridge above, and it doesn't take out the catwalk, but it kind of slams down on the side. I think Zam, maybe Mortimer, who obviously has 360-degree vision and is very perceptive, maybe calls out to you in a very emotionless tone that you should move back a couple of feet. And you do, and then the giant chunk comes down, takes out the right railing, and kind of you feel the catwalk twist underneath you. And then you pitch over. Yeah, I think that makes good sense. You pitch over, but you know what? You only take one because you land in gross mud. So it's more like you get the wind knocked out of you as opposed to taking some sort of significant damage.
Okay.
Your pit boy immediately starts clicking louder and louder.
Great. I guess I'll stand up.
How about you give me another athletics roll? It's going to be difficulty 2 this time because you were in thick radioactive mud.
I don't think it matters what the difficulty is. I got a 10 and a 1, so 2 successes.
Oh, well done. Yes. So Zam being very frustrated, and now your beautiful suit is all muddy. Oh well. What are Stan and Royce doing?
Do I have a rope or something to help him up?
Where does this ladder go to?
The ground.
On the other side, down to where he's at.
Yeah.
Hey, Zan, there's a ladder on the other side of this column here. You might be able to climb back up.
Does the ladder look safe, or is it rebar? Is it rusted?
Yeah, it's rusted.
Is it rusted to the degree of falling apart like the catwalk?
I mean, you'll have to get up and examine it. I would say it's a little bit sturdier.
Well, I think someone used to use it all the time to, their camp was up here. So I think it might be fairly decent, at least.
So decent, or is it like worn in because they've kept using it?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh golly, I guess I'll give it a try.
Cool. Hey, so as you're having this conversation, Stan, you're looking down, right?
Yeah, I'm looking down at Zam.
And Royce, you are back a bit. The section that Zam, because you spread out, the section that Zam was on is now not completely collapsed, but kind of twisted sideways. You might be able to get across it, but it'll be more of a tightrope situation than an easy walk. Are you trying to figure that? Like, what are you doing? And specifically, where are you looking?
I'm also looking, like, we probably made a whole bunch of noise coming down from above. So keeping an eye, seeing if anything also is going to be falling down from above us, because that's what something above dropped down to knock.
Yeah,
Zam
it's
off.
just a chunk of, as you know, the supports for this catwalk are anchored into the concrete above, and instead of just pulling out the anchoring screw, it basically pulled out a big chunk of concrete that fell. So you're mostly looking up. Cool. Hey, Stan, would you give me a go ahead and perceive for me?
I don't think there's a skill for that, right? It's just the
It's just
perception.
regular perception.
No successes.
Cool. I mean, you'll see it, but you don't notice it until they break the surface of the water. So Zam, as you're pulling yourself out and just kind of pulling your, it's quite muddy even underneath this pylon, but you get a good probably 15 feet away from the edge of the water, although your back is to it. You hear the clicking of the Geiger counter in your Pip-Boy slow down and then start speeding up again. Stan,
I'm gonna hit it.
bang it. Stan, you see a glow in the water just before some weird kind of slightly teardrop shaped but amorphous glowing kind of ridged creatures about 2.5, 3 feet long break the surface of the water and then kind of flop themselves in a kind of chaotic but a relatively fast way across the mud and reeds towards Zam. I don't
Zam,
know if you know what they are. You could try intelligence
so I'm gonna.
science.
Okay, do it. Let's see, intelligence, science, or what about survival?
That's more like
That's
that's like
endurance.
endurance.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try in
I think
science.
it's difficulty 0. Might be a chance to get an action point.
No successes.
Okay, you don't know. Zam, it's tick 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 ticking.
I guess I'm gonna go up the ladder.
Cool. You are muddy and slippery, so let's make that 2.
Great. Athletics again.
Yeah.
We have a action point
Sure.
if you want to use it.
To
Sure,
buy a
can I use
die?
something like lockpick because that would make sense.
You can buy a die with that action point to roll 3 dice.
I would say do it. I mean, especially with
Yeah,
something coming up.
I suppose so. Buy a die.
Any now.
Awesome. All right, I got an 11, a 14, and a 20.
So cool. I think
These dice suck.
what
We're
that
playing
means.
D&D.
I think
I
what
know,
that
right?
means is every time you put one of your now very heavy, stinking mud-soaked legs up on the lowest rung, it just slips off.
Yeah.
And so you kind of hop up and grab on to the highest rung you can catch, or now just kind of scrabbling. Royce, I assume at this point,
But
you probably
heard
have
that.
realized something isn't great, and so look down. I think being a local, these are rad leeches. I think you
Don't
probably
let 'em-
know what they love to do.
Yeah.
The little ones will just latch on to you and then slowly irradiate you until you die. The big ones like to latch on to you and drag you into the water and then drain you.
What size are you said there are 3 of them on the bank now?
Yeah, and they're between 2.5 and 3 feet. And actually pretty big around. So that means that they've probably eaten, which is maybe one of the reasons they're kind of energetic.
All right. I guess I'll just call out that you got to get out of there. They're gonna try and drag you under.
What is?
Those things, the rad leeches.
Oh, I've been looking at the ladder the entire time. So Zam's going to turn around and look and be like, ah!
They're just kind of chaotically flopping towards you. I think we have a cinematic moment
Fish
where
on land? Gross.
the nearest one kind of flops itself upright and then rears up a little bit and then shows its radula or whatever they have to you. And you can see the beautiful, healthy green glow coming from the inside. The good news is that they secrete an anticoagulant and a pain reliever situation. So,
Oh, I guess I'll die blissfully. Great.
cool. So what happens?
I would say at this point, just to try to at least get one off of Zam, I would probably just pull my pike gun out and try to plug one.
Yeah, do it. It is. They have out of the water. They have no defense and no armor.
Okay. So that is 2 successes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you can buy another damage die with that excess one if you want.
Actually, I'm going to bank it because we don't have any
Okay.
action points currently. So that way, Sam might have an opportunity to get up out of that water a little easier. And so the tag is just, it increases the range of critical, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's what I thought. And then does it do the opposite where it brings it from 20 down to whatever?
No, that's like unreliable, or there's some quality that that increases the critical fail.
Okay.
But it uses a tag skill, which just means that if you hit your skill number, it's a crit.
Okay. 3 damages and 2 effects. I don't have any effects though.
Okay. And you counted
So
the
3
damage. So you counted the damage from that comes with the effect, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
yeah, 3 damage.
Totally 3 damage. Excellent. I assume you're aiming at the one that's closest to Zam.
Correct.
Yeah. This bullet just slams into it. I think it's not enough to kill it. It's enough to distract it. It's also enough for its disgusting, faintly glowing, whatever rad leeches have on the inside to spray out all over Zam. And your Pit Boy is now, it's like a solid tone as opposed to the clicking.
Oh, fun. Great. Awesome. Thank you. I will continue
You're
up the ladder.
Cool. So your move this turn is going to be try to get up the ladder again.
Yeah.
Give it a roll.
Great. Awesome.
I'll be nice and say that in the previous failed attempt, you have scraped off a lot of the mud. So we can say it's difficulty 1.
Fantastic. No successes.
Okay.
My strength is 4. My athletics are 1. It's a 5. I have to roll under.
That's true. Well, that's like a 50-50 chance-ish with 2 dice.
1 and 4
Yeah.
times 2.
Yeah.
I got a 7 and a 12.
Okay. What's Royce doing?
Trying to hurry as close as he can. He's not the best shot, but I think taking a shot at those other leeches are probably a good idea.
Probably.
So he'll
It's
pull out
going to be
his
hard
gun.
to get paid for Zam's kidneys if they're all irradiated.
Right. Or there's only pieces left. So, attack with the pipe gun. No successes.
Uh-oh. So the shot goes wide. I think Mortimer will say, I'll save you, Zam, in that flat tone. And the good news is he doesn't, although he has kind of followed along with you, he doesn't really exert any weight on the catwalk. So I think he will just kind of maneuver down, and I think he's going to flame them. That is a 1 success against the difficulty of 6. And he is going to, I think he's going to go after, yeah, I mean, he's got a spread. So I think he can probably catch all 3, but he's mostly trying to hit the one that's closest to Zam. And gets 3 damage, which is pretty darn good. Yeah. So I think the one that maybe due to the mutation and the radiation, the goo inside them is a little bit flammable. So the one that had kind of popped open really sets alight. It is by hit points not actually dead, but extremely close to it, and it will be on fire. So it is effectively out. I think the other 2 take some damage, but whether from the drying effect of the flame or the light or the heat, they don't like turn and flee and go back into the water, but they do cease their advance for a moment. What you doing, Stan?
Probably the same thing, but actually I forgot that I have the pike revolver, the sharpshooter one.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually does more damage. So I'm actually going to do that instead. Use
Cool.
that one.
Cool. So you maybe toss the old pipe pistol onto the moldy bed clothes or whatever, and pull out your revolver, aim it up, sight it up. Cool.
And then closest one, just so that way we can kind of just slowly work them back. It is 1 success.
Cool. Roll that damage.
It's the revolver is 1 additional d6. It is 2, 3, 4 damage and an effect, which I have remove inaccuracy and pierce 1.
Yeah, the pierce won't help because they don't have anything to pierce. But you could, yeah, if they had any kind of resistance, you could certainly pierce it. They're just big squish bags.
Yeah. So 4 damage.
Cool. That one is certainly hurting. Zam.
Oh, gee, let me think about all of my options that I have. Up the ladder.
I mean, you could run. They're not super fast.
Where would I run to?
I don't know.
All right. Well,
I mean, it's just thick scrub and reeds and probably some rusted out hulks of some model of Corvega that like had tumbled off or been pushed off the interstate above you. So there's stuff to get on top of. There's stuff to hide behind, or you can just keep climbing.
Let's get on top of one of the rusted Corvegas.
Cool. You know what that's going to take, though, right?
Athletics.
Yeah. But you know what? I'll make it a difficulty 0.
Oh, okay, awesome. I rolled 2 12s.
Okay. So it's not super athletic, but taking advantage of the brief lull in their advance and the distraction, you give up trying to climb up the ladder and go and kind of like awkwardly scramble up onto the side of one of these rusted out hulks that's kind of on its side. So you're now a good, 5 feet in the air, at least your feet are, which is probably a good idea. Royce.
Gonna take another shot at him because
Cool.
I do not want to get down there.
Are you aiming for the one that has been burnt or the one that's been burnt and shot?
I'll go with the one that's been burnt and shot.
Okay.
13 and 18, no successes.
Okay. I mean, we have boons. Don't forget about those. You can always put exclamation point status in to check and see how many we got.
Oh, that's a good idea. Apparently I can hit the broadside of a leech.
To be fair, they're small and you're at an awkward angle because you're having to kind of lean over to avoid shooting like into the grate.
So we've got 3 major. If I use one of those, is that 1 reroll or 2 rerolls?
It's a reroll up to all.
Okay. I'll use a major.
Cool.
And that's a 5 and a 12, so 1 success.
Excellent. Well, that will.
Oh, pipe gun's got 3 damage dies. So 5, 3, and 4. So the 5 is 1 damage.
Correct. One damage and an effect. 5 and 6 are 1 damage and an effect.
Yeah.
It
think
just
you have
has
any
close
effects.
quarters, so yeah, nothing applies.
Cool. So just so that one pop.
Yep.
Great. Well, the good news is you are certain that you have killed this thing. Yeah, it may have been the lingering flame from the flamer, but it all kind of happens
Nature.
at once. But as far as you're concerned, it was definitely just about to catch Sam, and you have hit it with a bullseye. Or maybe you hit it and then some of the more gunk sprays out. It reignites the flame and it is sizzled to a crisp. This really awful kind of greenish smoke just billows up from underneath you. You probably have to lean back and pull your coat over your face to not inhale it. Cool. I think Mortimer, I will protect you, Zam, and then kind of floats back and sits near you with the saw blade going, ready to strike. Assumes Overwatch, basically, ready to strike if the little one can apparently leap. It can't, which is good news. The not so good news is what comes rising up from out of the middle of the river. It's Mama. This is
Fun.
the size of, it's a little bit bigger than a car. And it has some number, certainly more than 3 or 4, of pseudopods or tentacles or some other kind of mutated appendage. So it just kind of squelches itself up out of the water. You see the muck kind of shed off of it. And then relatively quickly, these pseudopods just kind of lash out at the shore. Let's see. Oh, and you know what? I have lots of action points.
You're welcome.
I mean, I had plenty before. Yeah. No. Yeah. Oh, wow. That was good. One of them actually just happens to land kind of not like intentionally right on top of, but very near one of the little baby leeches. like near enough that it kind of makes contact, and then it immediately whips around it and pulls it back. One of them lands kind of harmlessly on the ground and slowly starts to slide back. One of them lands close to the base of the support structure and then kind of wraps around it. And you can see as it first grows thin and then starts to thicken as it's using that anchor point to pull itself laboriously onto land.
On.
Cool. So, hey, the good news is that now all the little red leeches are dead. Stan, what you doing?
Gee, what to do? I guess I'll pat Mortimer on his dome head.
Yeah.
And then just shake my shoes and get all the rest of the mud off. Clean the mud off my pet boy. And then just wave to the other two. That's all I'm going to do.
Well, I mean, it's not moving quickly, so you probably have some time before it reaches you.
You could shoot it.
Is there any way we could...
That sounds like it would give attention to me.
Like a way out he could run to get further away or anything?
I mean, he could just run away from the river.
Yeah, but I don't know what is away from the river. This is not my area.
Yeah.
That's why I have friends who are leading me somewhere. Hopefully
Look,
the zoo. I don't know where I'm going.
In Fallout, running into the wilderness by yourself is always a good idea.
Always.
There definitely aren't cannibals. You certainly aren't being trailed by the meat raffle guys or people who want to sell you for your organs. So being alone is the best way to be.
Those are good points. Let me think. What would Zam do?
What would Sam do?
WWZD.
Yeah. All right. Well, sure. I'll shoot at it.
Okay.
'Cause I remember how that works.
Do it. You just roll 2d20 against the target number, the TN, on your weapon.
Yep. Fantastic. Well, I got one success.
Oh, good. Well, you hit it. And then just roll a number of dice equal to the damage on your weapon.
The dice equal to that number, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
D6s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that part. Okay. Well, those are dead in the water.
So the only ones that don't do damage is 3s and 4s.
Yes.
Right,
one.
yeah. I rolled my initial... I have 6, by the way, for my damage for this gun.
Oh, right, because you got a nicer gun than everyone else.
I do have a nicer gun, yes.
Cool.
So... Initially, I had a 2, a 4, a 4, and a 4, so I rerolled the 2 4s because I only had 4 dice. And I get a 5 and a 2, so... I get 2 2s and a 5, yeah.
Oh, cool. That's 5 points of damage.
Okay.
Yeah, so a very powerful shot. Let me see, because it actually, like, on these things, typically hit location doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But in case...
No,
No,
the 5, I do have an effect for this gun, too.
Oh, what is the effect?
Vicious. No idea what that means.
Vicious means it does damage for every effect you roll. That's 6, I think.
Okay.
We'll say that's
I
what
think
it is.
so.
It's what it is in
Sure.
other. It's what it is in other 2d20s. I don't know why they would change the name of it. So cool. So excellent. So that's a total of 6 damage. Well done. You did hit it in the torso, which makes sense because that's the largest target. There was some chance you would hit it in the pseudopod that it's using to pull itself out. You did not, however, you you definitely hit it, and there's a big spray. It doesn't reach you. The spray doesn't, so that's good. You're a little bit too far away.
Sam, don't you have VATS that you can use?
Yeah.
As a skill? Okay.
Zam did not use that because Zam isn't sure if the Pip-Boy is working correctly or not.
That's working great. It was
falling in the mud, getting mud on it. It's got to be clean. We got to clean that up.
No, it was the Geiger counter.
All of this
the
up.
Geiger
It's a
counter
whole
is
thing.
working just fine. It's still clicking, by the way.
We don't know that. Zam knows nothing of this. And so, yeah, I just kind of pulled out the gun, looked at it, and just fired it.
Well done. I think
sitting on a car with a robot.
I think Mortimer says, I'm gratified that all that time spent practicing on the target range has not gone to waste. As he revs his little buzzsaw. Who are we at? Stan. Hey, Stan. So you had gone into the little cubby area to like look down as Zam was coming up.
Yes.
Okay, so I think you would have noticed. And you know you've been kind of underneath this area that's a little bit in the shade long enough that perhaps your vision has adapted to the shadow. I think you would have noticed that in addition to the kind of just the detritus of someone's little hidey hole, there are a couple of sacks kind of leaned up against the corrugated metal of the side of this little enclosure. One of which, and that maybe you see there's some badly decayed just scraps that suggest that there might have been an empty bag or two up here, and one of the sacks is maybe half full. So there's, we'll say, 2 full sacks and 1 half full sack.
Okay. Is it like a duffel bag sack? Or
No,
is it
it's like let's see.
like a meat sack, like a super mutant meat sack.
No, it's it looks like let's see, would you have come across? What would you have come across? It looks like something pre-bomb.
Like a grain sack?
No, it looks like it was pre-bomb.
No.
I mean, I guess I'll grab it and open it.
There are chunks of some sort of white kind of crystalline substance. Like as you pick up a chunk, like a few pieces kind of crumble off. And it's a little mildewy, and like even just trying to open the sack, you rip some of the decayed burlap. But there's it's some sort of white crystalline stuff.
Got it. All right. Well, I'm gonna go back out to. I'm gonna just grab it and just kind of set it more out in the open, I guess, and then go back out and let's just deal with this leech first.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw a baseball grenade at it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, if I'm correct, we still have 1 momentum, right? Or action point.
I think that's right.
Okay. I use it to make sure that this grenade goes well.
I don't
Is
see
it
why
okay
not.
with everybody?
For sure.
Okay.
And I think this is going to be, I know it's either perception explosives or agility throwing, and I'm going to say
So
it can be
it says on my, I was gonna say, because it says on my sheet that it's explosion
yes.
or explosives.
Okay, you can do that.
Okay. I got 1 success.
Cool.
I
Roll
got
it
out
up.
of the 3 die. So that is a 5 dice. That is for 5 damage with an effect, and it doesn't look like it has an effect. So 5 damage.
Cool. Yeah, you toss the baseball grenade. It kind of, you're worried that it might like hit the mud and then sink in the mud and dampen it, but it actually like kind of rolls right up next to the thing and then goes off in this kind of dull whoop noise. You can see just these violent kind of jiggles propagating through its jelly-like body, and then this big gash or just chunk has kind of been blown apart, and it clearly has differentiated organs, but it's just this disgusting goop that kind of starts leaking out of it. A chunky goop, kind of like greenish black cottage cheese.
Fun.
Who's hungry?
Right.
Always.
What you doing there, Royce?
Is there any way or any path that I could see that Zam and Mortimer could get back up away?
You can give me a perception to see if you can like spot a safe place to go.
Other than that ladder, which she apparently was unable to climb. You know, I don't know if they have a wheelchair accessible ramp or anything up there, but base perception, I do not succeed.
Yeah, it's you're sure there's probably a way, but just from where you are, like you're kind of constrained in your ability to move forward and get a better look. I'm going to say this thing is actually, and you probably just had to like hunker down and cover your ears as you saw the grenade going, because that kind of just went off like nearly right beneath you. So just looking around, you're not seeing anything super.
All right, then I will shoot at the mama.
Cool.
And that is 5 out of 19, so that's 1 success.
That's all it takes.
And 3 damage. 2, a 5, and a 5, so that's 3 damage.
Cool. Yeah, you catch it like into that chunk that's been blown away, and you can probably see a spray of its innards on the other side as the bullet goes entirely through. It starts to. It's nowhere near as mobile as the little ones. So as it starts to kind of writhe and flop, like you can probably feel the catwalk underneath you bouncing and hear more of those ting twang sounds as it gets looser and looser, as it begins to writhe around and its tentacles go flying. One of which slaps the water. One of which, is that a 7 or a 1? That is a 7. One of which kind of follows the direction of the one that's kind of wrapped around the support structure. So it wraps another one around that. And then the third. Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Use this as a directional. Oh, yeah, the third one too. So it seems like it's obviously not very smart because it's pulling itself in the direction that the hurt's coming from. And it fails to make any progress. So it failed on the pull. That's unfortunate for it. But I think, let's see. Let's check that status real quick. What do we got? No Banes. Fine.
Wah, wah.
It's fine. you know what I'll do? I'll spend some of my action points.
Okay.
Because it has so many tentacles.
Thanks, Chev.
Yeah, you're the best, Jeff.
Right, awesome. I'll remember that for whenever
Oh,
Chef's playing a game.
this is interesting. Okay, how does this work narratively? I know how it works narratively. It tries to pull itself further with those tentacles, but one of them slips loose and flies up. And so, Royce, you're sitting there, and then, like, pretty close to right in front of you, this big, heavy tentacle just kind of slaps the top of the bridge and then falls down kind of over the catwalk in front of you, and then immediately constricts and pulls. So I need an athletics from you.
All right. I have one. No, it's not a tag. So can I critical and not a tag?
If it's a 1.
It's a 3. So it's a 1 success.
Okay. So as the catwalk begins to collapse, you do hold on, but you're basically just going to be dangling from your hands, which means you're going to want to do something about that relatively quickly, because the difficulty getting that situation is going to be hard. But because it also rolled a 20, I'm going to say it pulls this broken piece of catwalk directly down onto itself, which I don't know how much damage is that. Probably a fair amount. Let's just see how much damage we think that is. I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of damage. And it's not doing particularly well. I mean, it can take some more hits, but this like
it's a
like
lucky impale with the
like pulls
the
it
railing
down,
that
and so
go
it
right
kind
through
of
it.
it hits it. It's kind of partly sticking in and out. It is absolutely not in a good situation, but it is basically just a big sack of goo. Cool. Stan. Oh, and Rith, as you're hanging on to this kind of shaking, dangling piece of catwalk, you see that the lumps of black cottage cheese that are leaking out of it are starting to wriggle. What you doing, Stan?
Beam of the grenade.
Oh, sorry,
kinda went
wait,
off.
Zam's first, right? Can we do it that way?
I don't think it.
Yeah.
I don't think it really matters.
Zam, what
but
you
yeah.
doing?
I guess Zam is watching all of this weird stuff happen.
Yeah. You could make an intelligence science if you wanted to try to figure out what's going on. Maybe your big brain.
Yeah, let's try that.
I mean, it's kind of your thing.
Better odds.
I think it's just difficulty 1.
Yeah, I got 2 successes.
Cool. Well, add an action point. That's good.
Okay.
So, this thing is big. It has taken a bunch of punishment. It's not doing great. It's also maybe not super effective unless it gets lucky, but it's dangerous. But it's very clearly like you think you probably kind of understand its whole situation, and you think that salt might work on it. Because it is, I mean, maybe Roy said something about, rat leeches, but it does look very slug-like, especially with all these kind of appendages and how its body is kind of slimy and amorphous.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, sodium.
Yes.
Got it. All right. Well, I guess I will just call out to Stan and Royce. Hey, if you guys have any sodium, throw it at it or in it.
So Royce and Stan make a difficulty 3 intelligence science check to know what sodium is. I mean, you probably do need to make a check because that's not a common terminology.
Well, I have a big brain. Didn't equate it to salt yet.
So science intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually got 3 successes on that one.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a 1 and a 5, and my intelligence is a 5 with a science being a 1.
Wow.
So,
I rolled a 1 and an 8, which is only 2 successes.
Okay. Well, the good news is
Oh.
that earns you 4 action points. It's not really difficulty 3.
okay.
And you both realize that he's talking about salt. And actually, I think what happens is, I think Mortimer says, Sam, these savages will never understand what you're saying. He means salt.
Gee, Mortimer, if only you had like a megaphone somewhere in that robust robotic body of yours, that would be helpful right now.
You don't know what I have. He means salt.
Well, I was already gonna go back and grab the bag before Sam's turn, so I'm gonna go run back and grab that bag of white powder.
Yeah.
And bring it out, and I guess walk somewhat over top of the slug leech thing, and just kind of sprinkle it over top of it.
Yeah, you can't, from where you are, you can't get directly over it, but you
Correct.
can get over the 2 tentacles that are holding on to the support pylon.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I can do
Cool.
that.
Just give me a throw.
Okay. Throwing, I'm gonna assume
Yeah,
is
yeah,
the
yeah.
skill that you want. Okay. So that is an agility. So 1 success.
Cool. Yeah. I don't know how much damage that does. I think what it does is one of the tentacles lets go and just kind of back
Okay.
into the body.
Real quick before we continue here, how many momentums did we get off of that sodium thing?
I think I said 4.
Okay. So we are at, I think, 4 or...
Cool.
I believe we're at 5.
Because there was one before. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right. I think Mortimer is just guarding Sam. So Royce, you are dangling. Now you are directly above this thing.
I do not want to drop.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a difficulty 2 athletics to hold on.
Is there any way I could, like, hand-to-hand crawl to a more secure section, or...
I think that would be difficulty 3.
Okay. So
But we have
what
a
I'm
lot. We have a
hearing-
lot of action points. We still have
Right.
some boons. So yeah. So I think you see, like maybe one of the supports that had been knocked loose when that chunk had first fallen down and pitched Zam off. I think you think that if you can climb up a little bit, you might be able to kind of grab on that and then risk it that you can swing a little bit and grab a piece that's still affixed to the far side.
Doing it.
You're going to do some Nathan Drake nonsense.
I'll pretend to know who that is. Yes.
Well, you know how, you've got Pitfall and all those games that you can occasionally find to play on your Pip-Boy. In Megasota, there's a version of, what was it? What was the name of that game with Nathan Drake? Uncharted, yeah. But it's Pip-Charted.
Pip charted. All right. I rolled a 1 and a 5. So that is off of rolls, and that's like an athletics strength or that athletics agility.
It's strength, I think. Yep,
Yep.
Okay, well,
strength.
regardless, I've got 5 or more in both, so that's 3 successes.
So you get exactly what you need. So, Zam, you probably have the best view of this. As Royce is kind of hanging there, you can see and almost bouncing, almost like the catwalk wants to shake him off. And
Right.
and you could hear more twangs, and there's more chunks of concrete falling. And does one of these things where he kind of scrambles, does a quick leap up, grabs a piece, and then just kind of launches himself over, grabs onto this pole, and swings back, and you can hear it cracking, and then swings forward, leaps, and grabs onto the lip of that's still connected to the catwalk, and then the pole falls down and probably also sticks in the creature. Why not? And you maybe just have just enough oomph to kind of shimmy yourself up and flop down on the relatively stable side of the catwalk, maybe 5 feet from where Stan is.
Will help, Stan.
Yeah, I'll reach down and grab his hand and help him up.
Cool. All right. The creature. That's not going to help anybody. That's also not going to help anybody. That, however, might. Oh, okay, yeah. So it's going to pull itself forward by 10 feet, but I'm also going to give it a little damage because it is impaled. Cool. So it takes 2 more points. So that one tentacle that's still attached, it yanks itself forward as this catwalk that's embedded just kind of slices into its body. More of those wriggling things flow out of it. Zam,
Fine.
what you doing?
Well, I was contemplating that we were walking on that, and it doesn't seem stable at all. So that was whoever wanted to walk across it. That was a terrible idea. So I'm contemplating all that, and then I don't know. I'm gonna look at Mortimer. Hey, Mortimer, do you think the plan now is for them to come down here so that we can go across? Because I don't think going up there is going to help because that thing's up there, and it's. I don't have any salt. You don't have any salt. So.
That seems wise, Mr. Zam.
All right, yeah, I'm just going to shout over to them and tell them to drop down here and come over my way. There's no reason being up there.
Would you like to shoot again, Mr. Zam?
You know what, I suppose. But we don't have a whole lot of ammo, Mortimer, so it also seems a little unwise to waste any more bullets after this one.
You know best.
You say that. I got 1 success.
Cool. Roll that damage.
All right, I got a 1, a 5, and a 6.
Cool. So 3.
So.
But it's vicious,
3,
so it's
and then 2
5.
vicious. Yep. So 5.
Another powerful shot. It enters into the head area of this creature, and you can hear the bullet like hit the catwalk that's partially impaling this thing and like maybe ricochet off for some extra damage. Yeah. It is, I mean, it's on its last legs if it had legs. Cool. Stan and Royce. You're both up there.
I mean, like I
It
I think I found
has now pulled itself closer.
Okay.
So it is closer to underneath you.
So after helping Royce up, I'm gonna look at him and be like, I think I found some salt where this guy was living. So I'm just gonna kind of just throw it at it. Think it's a good idea?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna just kind of grab like a big maybe chunk. It's like kind of stuck together and just kind of throw it right at the creature and see if I can't get it in one of the holes.
Yeah. Do you want to throw a little chunk? Or more?
Yeah, that's what I was. Well, it was gonna be like if it was like if, like you know how like salt and sugar
Yeah.
and stuff like that kind of like
Okay.
clumps together. So like try to find a big clump of it and
Okay. Yeah. Give
throw
me a
it
throw.
at it. I'm gonna use a moment or an action point.
Buy a die.
Yeah, to buy a die just to make sure here. Um. So I have no successes. Missed it by 1.
Oh. Well, I will say, it comes up a little bit short, and instead it lands and kind of breaks into pieces in the pool of wriggling mess. And it does appear to kind of immediately dissolve a couple dozen of the little babies.
Hey, Zam, we have salt up here if you want to try to get up here.
I already tried that a couple times. Seems futile.
Royce, you now see that there are a couple of other bags over by Stan.
Grab a bag and I'll try hucking the whole bag at it.
Yeah. Do it. Give me a throw.
I've got 1 success.
Excellent. And you're doing the whole bag?
Whole bag, which my thought is this bag is about to burst. So if it hits,
Oh, yeah. I mean,
kind of go.
you basically pick it up. You go and grab it, and it starts to rip open. So you kind of just have to like gingerly pick it up. And basically, as you throw it, it just rips apart. Now it is kind of crystallized, so it doesn't like make a super fine spray, but just this, it's also quite heavy. But this big spray of everything from fine crystals all the way down to kind of, baseball-sized chunks rains down on top of this creature. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 that didn't. So that's 7 points of damage to this thing. Still not technically dead, but starting to rapidly dissolve. Like an entire quarter of it is now just bubbling and turning into this soupy black mess. And a fair portion of the stuff that's wriggling out of it is also now starting to pop. I think at this point, because you have another bag, I think narratively, because it's not going to, it probably, it gets on the tentacle that's still holding it on to the support structure. It pulls that back. It's just sitting there kind of immobily dying. So we'll say that narratively, you and Stan very carefully kind of huck the last bag on it. And you sit there and watch as it slowly turns to goop. It's real nasty. And then maybe once the immediate threat is over, Mortimer will come and finish up any of the other babies with the flamethrower, which makes a really awful smell. Like it's absolutely the worst. And I will say, again, the interior is somehow flammable. So it might be a good idea not to be trapped underneath this overpass or this bridge as this black-green smoke starts to fill the entire area.
Should we get down there with him, or should we have him climb up here and try to scurry across the rest of these scaffoldings?
I mean, what's the quickest way out of here?
Well, like a perception check to see exactly what we think, or
Or intelligence.
okay.
Just difficulty 0.
No successes.
I don't know.
I got a complication.
Perfect.
I
I
You got
must
salt in
have
your eye.
been looking, or the acrid smoke. Like, yeah, now I can't. Like, eyes watering, and I just can't see.
Yeah. Oh, Royce. When was a time that a job went bad and you lost someone that you had formed a bond with?
Was helping bring a fur or a hide harvest down from the north, and then we got onset by a bunch of I want to say mirelurks, but those are like coastal. So whatever the freshwater mitten lurks maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there were just so many of them, of the three of us bringing the load back, herding the Brahmin along. Only 2 of us were able to get away.
So, yeah, you get a lungful of this greasy, oily, acrid smoke. And then it seems to clear. And instead of the burning body of this massive, giant rad leech, you see those companions that you lost before. And they seem to be a little nonplussed, but also like in good spirits. And they're kind of like joking and laughing. And like maybe one of them's a little bit nervous and the other's kind of good naturedly rib them. You'd be scared of your shadow. And then they all start screaming as the little hatchlings of these kind of crawdad-like versions of mirelurks begin burrowing out of their flesh. It is very upsetting. And so I think, Stan, you see Royce get a little, blink and whatever, and then just stare down below, kind of leaning, and then just start freaking out.
Okay. I'm gonna pull out one of my purified waters, and since he was rubbing his eye, just kind of like grab him and just kind of like pour it over his face and kind of like wash some of it away and see if maybe that would help a little bit.
That's super smart. I think it does. I think there's some sort of sticky kind of resinous stuff in the smoke. Probably whatever that whatever the chemicals are in it that enable it to feed on. Of course, here's the thing. A leech this size, what is it feeding on? Probably something bigger. So, but you're able to use up that one container of purified water and like a rag or a less rotted piece of burlap and just kind of scrub off Royce's face. And after maybe 30 seconds, Royce, the hallucination dies down. You can still hear the echoes of your friends and the clicky clacky noises of the hatchlings, but it becomes apparent to you that it is a figment of your chemical addled brain, not a real thing. Maybe Sam is just like, I told them to come down.
Let's go ahead and get down to Zam, I guess, and we'll maybe skirt around the backside here.
Oh, that's good. I dropped my pistol when I almost fell anyway.
Okay.
So yeah,
Well, I'm gonna I'll just hand you my gun, my extra one. So that way we don't have to go near the water.
I mean, it should just be right below me by that
Yeah.
burning, smoldering carcass. That
I think if
I'll
you
be quick.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
yeah, if you wait a little while, eventually the burning will die down and the wind will shift such that you can run in and grab it. So you're good. All right. Well, good news is no one died. But maybe there's a little bit of caution. I assume that as you continue your trek, you're going to continue being stealthy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Let's try that again.
Or as stealthy as we can from the remains of a burning, smoldering, basically tire fire.
Oh, I'm going to say that you make your way a ways away, but this is more like another leg on your journey.
All right.
I rolled 2 1s.
Ooh,
Nice. I got 1 success.
cool.
I got 2 successes.
Cool. Well, I
We're
think you're
already at.
you're full on action points because you can only ever have 6. So I think maybe chastened by the experience at the bridge, you guys are a little bit more cautious, maybe a little bit quiet, and you make it a good ways. I think the next thing that happens to you is that you come across a MNG patrol. You are getting close to the cities, so this is not entirely surprising. In the meantime, what have like Zam, are you still covered in radioactive mud?
Oh no, I probably would have gotten most of that off, and probably just use my lab coat to clean the rest off.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think, and you probably could have found a puddle that wasn't super radioactive. So the good news is you look less like a dandy in a clean suit and more like your typical wasteland wanderer who for some reason is wearing a nice 3-piece suit that's all gross from being out in the weather. So yes, what the patrol sees is Royce, who looks like a traveler, trader, something, a ghoul, a Mr. Handy, and a guy in a muddy suit. Which I think they think is strange.
What?
Because there's not a caravan. You're clearly wandering on your own. And you have a Mr. Handy. And a Mr. Handy that isn't rusty.
It's got mud on him.
A little dented.
He's got a dent.
Yeah, he has one dent. Actually, probably while everyone's sleeping, he has removed that panel from his dome and very carefully tapped out the dent because Mr. Handys are nothing if not vain. So I think they are going to pull up, and the MNG has pretty good weapons. Although, Royce, I think you can make like an intelligence roll, maybe? I don't think there's a skill for this. Yeah, I think it's just intelligence.
Okay. Hey, I got a success.
Yeah, this is not this is a like a low grade patrol, right? They don't go further than like a day or two out of the cities and typically stick to the safer portions. So, I mean, these are all conscriptees.
Newbies.
Yeah. I think the sense that you get is probably that they're not like newbies. But I would also say, based on your experience, that it is common in the cities for folks who like maybe have made some mistakes, some poor choices, to accept conscription as
Okay.
opposed to prison. So I think maybe part of it, you might actually feel better if it was a more serious, higher ranking, more experienced patrol. So yeah, I think that as soon as they see you, they limber their rifles. They don't draw them on you. And then as soon as you get within shouting range, one of them will step forward after kind of conferring a little bit shiftily with the others. Will step forward. Hands where I can see them. No weapons. Move on forward for inspection.
Yeah, Zam's just gonna stop moving.
I will whisper to Zam, be like, we need to follow these guys. They've got a lot more guns than we do.
Who are they?
These are kind of the local law
Authority.
enforcement.
I think Mortimer says, "Oh, good. I have many crimes to report." You there, officer?
Yeah, see, Mortimer will deal with this. He'll just rocket past us and deal with everything. We'll go swimmingly, right?
Mortimer, they're gonna take you away if you go up there.
For an oil bath?
Probably your last.
My left servo has been hitching up recently. Cool. So I think my guess is that Mortimer has been programmed to view civil authority positively.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably some sort of protocol that if things go wrong and you're granted with civil authority, you're supposed to trust them and follow their orders. So when they order him to stop, he does. And then he, I think, is going to begin to try to talk to them unless someone stops him.
I want to look at Sam and be like, "This is your robot."
I mean, technically, he's
Technically,
my
you're his
You're
human.
his?
keeper. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
his human.
I'll say, hang on, Mortimer. Let's follow my lead on this one. I've dealt with many patrols in the past. Not all of them are the comic book kind of law enforcement.
Of course not.
Or
This is
the-
real life. I think your brain must still be addled from the toxins in that horrible creature.
Let's just do what they ask.
I will. I will give my report and then do what they ask.
No, the report. Keep that one to yourself. We can save it for their superiors. These guys aren't going to be able to do anything anyway.
Are you trying to speech him? Persuade
Sure.
with a speech check?
Yeah, I guess I can try and
Cool.
persuade Mortimer that saying less is more beneficial. That is one success.
I think Mortimer
He's gonna speech me back.
is speeching you back. What is your charisma in speech?
7 charisma, 3 speech.
So is his.
Yeah. So,
So
it's the battle of the faces.
Well, no, and his is a tag skill, so he got 3 successes.
Mm.
So he's making some solid points.
All right.
I mean,
Yeah,
also, he doesn't have hands, so
He's technically an NPC at this moment, so you are not required to fall for his probably super sound logic.
But I think that's how Govan would have totally went in there.
Absolutely.
So he convinces you to spill the beans to the guards.
I guess, or regardless of what I was gonna say, he's just gonna go do it anyway. And his speech might have been, "Well, I am bound by my protocols to do X, Y, and Z in situations of this," and I'm just like, I don't understand what that means, but okay.
Cool.
But
So I think he's going to go up. And you're up. I mean, you all are kind of close together, and they're continuing to move forward. They still aren't like threatening you. But as Mortimer begins to kind of give a report that starts with his creation and programming and assignment to Vault 111,
Perfect.
reviews his parameters and particularly the areas where his parameters differ from the standard Mr. Handy, because he assumes that these are civil authorities and they understand what the typical programming for Mr. Handy is. He will several times say, protocol number 7 is redacted. Unless you can take me to an official with Vaultec, I cannot reveal this thing. Or sorry, Syntec, right? So yeah, I think he's going to try to charm them with a status report or confuse them.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. I feel like, yeah,
I think that's what he does anyway.
Now, Royce, or anyone has an opportunity to help.
Yeah, I'll certainly try and help him BS these guards.
Cool. Roll 1. I think that's how it works. That's how it works in most 2D20s.
I got a
We're just gonna make it up.
success.
Cool. He got 1 success. No, 2. Because it's 7 and 3 is 10. Yeah, he got 2 successes. That's 3 successes. I think these guys are, we're gonna say, not the brightest. And I think
we already said that, but
I think they're just real confused about what's going on. And I think one of them, the leader, is just going to say, yeah, tell them, Jonesy, take notes, I guess. And Jonesy kind of like pats around looking for something and then just kind of mimes writing on his hand because he didn't have a pen and paper. And then Mortimer would say, and then it's going to come over and talk to you, Royce. So what's going on with all this?
So he's asking me what the situation is.
He wants to talk to a human being that he assumes is going to use language that he can understand.
So you've very much confused these guys. They aren't. They don't know anything that you just said. I don't even know half of it.
The leader of the patrol comes and talks to you because he can't understand a word that.
Mortimer.
Yeah.
Got it.
No, Mortimer's still yakking at these people.
no hablo inglés.
That was weird. My Spotify just decided to turn on. Anyhow, yeah. So it'd be like, hey, we're making our way down from Hinky Town. Got some stops in the cities. Nearly got wiped out on that bridge by Pine City. Yeah, that needs a maintenance crew at some point this season.
Yeah, it's gotten bad. Well, you know how it is. We try not to send out maintenance crews as it's getting close to winter because the weather, storms blowing in off the lakes. I'm sure they'll send out some people once it hits spring, but the trade's drying down. That's kind of why we weren't expecting to see anyone out here. And I don't see a caravan. What are you like? What's your business? What are you doing?
Like I said, we're coming down from Hinky Town, not really hauling goods as much as some messages.
Oh, is it MNG business?
Not officially, but it's also not anti-MNG business.
Okay, you're gonna have to say more about that.
I don't think I can until we get to the U.
Oh.
So I don't want to say more than I think I can, because I think I might get in more trouble with the university than with y'all here. No offense, but
I think. Well, first of all, I think I would like you to give me another speech.
sure. That is 1 tag success, so 2 successes.
2 successes. Awesome. And because we are full up, maybe we can say that excess success is because speech is kind of like convincing people, but also figuring people out. So I think you get the sense like you saw his demeanor change. Like you didn't mention the academic faction, but it's clear when you said we're going to the U. So he got bottle caps in his eyes because the academics have money. So he is thinking about this in terms of, like, I think at first he was maybe, the sense you get is that he was thinking about maybe we could take this robot off these wasters and then go sell it for money. But now he's thinking, oh, I bet there's messages in the robot. I bet if I swoop in and save the day, I can get paid by the academics. So he'll say, well, it's if you've got all these important messages, it's kind of weird that you're out here without an escort. The folks at the U didn't provide you with anything?
No, it was more of a fast and light kind of a mission.
Oh, like incognito.
Something like that, yeah.
He's clearly trying to impress with the
Big words.
one 4-syllable word that he knows. Well, I mean, dangerous times out here, friend. I mean, it's a shame that if only you could find some folks who might be willing to take on an extra job and help you out a little bit. It'd be a real shame if those super important messages got lost, right?
Yeah. I also, I got some friends at the U, and I'm sure they would be happy to know of any connections at the Megasota National Guard that might, scratch their back and would like something scratched in return.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm a upstanding member of the guard. I mean, I couldn't.
I'm not saying bribery here, sir. I'm just saying I got some friends, and they're friendly to friends of friends, if you know what I mean.
Well, I have been kind of thinking about going into the private sector. Maybe you could, maybe if we, just happened to, maybe we heard something that there was maybe some raider activity over kind of in the area between here and the U. And we just decided, to, on our own initiative, go check it out and make sure everything's okay. And you just happen to be going along the same way. And then, if when you deliver your super secret messages, if the academics decided they wanted to share their gratitude, I mean, you guys aren't gonna want to go through all the red tape of reporting that or anything, right?
Oh, I hate papers.
All right. Can you tell your robot to stop confusing my men?
I will try, but I don't know.
And then in the second year we were in the vault, there was a
I'll go talk to
1.2% deviation in the water pressure on level 7.
Zam, can you get him to stop talking? These guys don't. He's gonna get shot if he keeps talking.
Mortimer.
Yes, Mr. Zam?
Stop talking to them.
All right. Zzz. And then the eyes just kind of look expectantly. So, all right. Well, let's see if we can't get you to the U. Zam, you have heard all of this. Maybe not every single word because they kind of went off to the side, but it's very clear that the plan is now to take you directly to the U.
Yeah. Letters.
How do you feel about that?
Well, letters are the numbers of the alphabet. Oh, you mean for the U thing?
Yeah.
Well, we're outside a city, like
Yeah.
outskirts.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're on the northern outskirts. But they propose to take you directly to the U.
Yeah.
Which is not the zoo.
I'm aware that's not the zoo. It doesn't even have the right letter.
Right?
They do rhyme.
They do rhyme. Can I roll for perception to see any signs that might go to the zoo?
Sure.
Or would that be an intelligence roll to...
Well, I would say an intelligence roll to kind of know where you are, but you really don't.
I'm outside the vault. That's
You're
what I
outside
knew.
the vault, so all of your a lot of your knowledge is just not. I think you're right. It's perception or luck.
That's not gonna help me. Awesome. No successes. So my next idea
We
is...
have tons and tons and tons of action points, and we've got
All right,
rooms.
fine. I will use one action point
Okay.
to buy another die.
Yeah. Roll another die.
Yeah. Darn. Over by one.
Okay. Yeah, you're looking around. You don't know how close you are.
Shit. I would like to whisper to Mortimer.
Yes.
Mortimer.
Yes.
They want to take us to some place called the U. Can you do me a favor?
Of course, Mr. Zam.
Can you resume talking to those fine gentlemen over there that you were talking to, and find out which way the zoo would be?
Ah, it would be my pleasure.
Thank you.
The three guys see Mortimer zooming towards them again and just like, oh god. One success. But you know, I think that maybe one of them has like a Mr. Handy model in his barracks, or had it in his room as a kid, and maybe is a little bit more susceptible to the robot's charms than the rest.
It's robot charms.
Yes. And so you can kind of see the guy like gesturing a little bit. While that conversation is happening, what are Zam, Royce, and Stan doing?
Dan's kind of out of his element at this point. Talking is not his strong suit, since how gross he looks.
It's true.
He just tries to avoid.
Well, I mean, you've been around the area long enough to know that. I mean, I think that it's clear that they probably watch you a little bit more closely because, you know, you might go feral any minute. But it's not like they're, you know, step away from the ghoul and then fill you with lead.
Yeah.
Stan, what is your experience with factions that have grown up around academic institutes?
My experience with them?
Yeah. Given the part of the country that you came from.
Repeat that question again. Sorry.
So when there's all this conversation about taking all of you to the U, to where the professors and the academics and the experimenters and stuff live, is that a thing that you're like, oh, that's great? I remember when I
Uh,
was in the Commonwealth and that was awesome. I love those
so,
guys.
well, I feel like the academics from where Stan was it was a mix between ghouls and humans
Oh,
and
okay.
other stuff like that. So I feel like it was less a um like you had to be non-ghoul to be an academic
Okay.
because they realized that some ghouls are pre-war ghouls.
Ah,
So they can learn lots of the stuff from
okay.
them.
So you're not worried about it at all.
No, no.
Cool. Royce, what are you doing?
I would probably feel more comfortable as an
Um,
academic than somewhere else.
Seeing that Mortimer is talking again, and Zam, I believe, has mentioned the zoo multiple times on this journey.
Every
Uh,
hour for the
yeah.
No,
past like
there was
4
none of
days.
that. I'm
He's
not even
gonna
sure you know what a
think
zoo is.
he is going
You have
to.
talked about getting a bird every hour the entire
Yeah.
time.
I don't have a bird.
He's gonna talk about the friend he has at the university that knows about animals and the zoo. And
Mhm.
that's why we're going there first, because without some help, he's heard stories of the zoo and none of them good.
Oh, I don't think you were shown the right slides when you were a child.
What's a slide?
Yeah. What are you talking about? Sodium
Like the thing you
slides? You're
go
just making
down?
up words.
Like, I don't.
Okay, so
It's
it
a
sounds like you're
picture.
going to try to persuade
I'll try
the.
and persuade him, or just at least say that's why we're gonna do the U first. We still can go to the zoo,
Oh, you're
but
trying to
let's get.
persuade Zam to go to the U
I'm
first.
trying to at least to not. We suddenly have an escort back to the actual city, so let's not mess that up, and we can figure stuff out when we get to the city. But this is still an area where we could get eaten by any number of things. That could still happen in the city, but it's a little less likely.
That seems like a thing that happens no matter anywhere you're outside the vault.
Well, not all of us were lucky to be in a vault.
Well, I was there and I was comfortable until you showed up.
Your mother invited us.
It's true.
Nah, nope.
It's all your mom's fault. Well, we can't really do speech PvP. So Zam, Royce is trying to convince you to forego the zoo and go to the university first. Then, as you're having a conversation back and forth, Zam, Mortimer returns and says, I have been observing these savages. They seem motivated by bottle caps. I have promised them a mountain of bottle caps if they take us to the zoo. I have been observing Royce, who seems to lie very easily, so I've adjusted my algorithms to enable me to do the same. I told them that we were in possession of information that would lead to a cache of caps and that we were not interested in that. We were interested in scientific information for the university. I think they may try to kill
Perfect.
the leader if the leader doesn't agree. I mean, he's your
good.
dad. He wants what's best for you, Zam.
Yeah. Right.
Unless you don't want to go to the zoo, I can always go back and
I
tell
do
them
want
that
to.
it was a lie.
Nope. Definitely want to go to the zoo. That's fine. Right. So, guess we're going to the zoo.
We don't have to.
No, I'm talking to Royce.
Oh.
Yes, we're going to the zoo.
Well, because I mean, obviously, 3 of them have much bigger weapons than we do, and they have much bigger weapons than that one guy that's definitely going to try and betray them.
Zam, I think Mortimer kind of swivels all eyes toward you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll reference a class that he taught you when you were
Oh no.
probably I think your meat dad had just recently died.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first course. It was like baby's first apocalypse. It was
Yeah.
the first course on tactics of not just how to survive in the irradiated wasteland, but how to rebuild civilization. And so he is quoting back to you most of the lessons, but he is very pointedly leaving out in a super unsubtle way some pieces of lessons that he had drilled home to you that in that very cheery kind of vault tech way was not everyone will survive reemergence. It's important to realize the valuable assets, and anyone who's not valuable can be used to attract the attention of the horribly mutated denizens of the wasteland. While those denizens are feeding on on those who are too slow or weak or not intelligent enough, that will enable those who are superior to escape. So he's basically giving you
Yep,
a
got it.
long-winded hint, yeah, about his psychopathic intention for what to do with the infantry
Yep.
guards. I think to Royce, it sounds like he's got a screw loose.
Or for the course.
Cool. So what happens?
Looks like we're going to the zoo, guys.
Guess we go to the zoo.
I just imagine Stan this entire time was just like cleaning his gun, making sure it doesn't jam, and just like, yeah, we're going to the zoo.
I think the leader is going to check with you, Royce, because this doesn't sound right. I mean, he's not super experienced, but this sounds suspicious to him. And this is certainly not the deal that you and he had worked out.
Right. And I mean, I'll be honest, that it's like, yeah, I don't know why we're now going to the zoo, but apparently that's what the robot says.
I thought you were the boss. I thought you were the leader.
Some days it feels that way. Today is not one of those days.
I mean, we could always go to the U. Forget these guys. You got the messages, right?
I'm not leaving these guys.
As long as I get the recognition of doing my civic duty.
Oh, right. Don't worry.
I guess an extra day. We don't have to actually go in that thing, do we?
God, I hope not.
All right. So do you have the messages on you? So I'm just saying, like, if something happened to you and we wanted to make sure to complete.
I'm gonna look at him and be like, nope, they're all up here.
I say, yeah, that's. You get us there safely, and the messages will get there.
Give me one more speech check.
Sure. I got 1 success. And if that's not convincing, I'll be happy to buy a die.
Well, you don't know.
I mean, we have momentum.
I'm gonna buy
Use
a
it.
guy. I'm gonna buy another die just because this deal suddenly switched, and it definitely feels fishy.
Okay, I would even buy 2. Use
Yeah,
two,
I will
3.
buy 2.
Okay.
So I got 2 successes.
We're
After
down
buying
to
2
3
dice,
now.
so we're down to 3. Yep.
To be fair, there's gonna be fish at the zoo, so
We'll see.
Okay.
Well, we still all smell fishy or leechy or whatever.
Okay. I think you probably I think you probably get the sense that he's not totally bought in, but you're not quite sure what direction he's taking it. But he will go along. So maybe he's convinced. So cool. We see a montage as you make your way. I think you enter the northern gates of Canada, which is a lovely settlement. It has been somewhat restored to kind of a pre-war 50s utopia.
Interesting.
And where everyone is super nice and polite. It is surrounded by a shanty town with some of the most foul-mouthed, and they're speaking English allegedly, but it is almost impossible to understand, partly because of all the creative swearing, and also just because of the bizarre accent. There's a big settlement of folks from Coon Rapids who have settled around Canada. So it's just like, well, I don't know. It's like, is this New Jersey all of a sudden? I don't know. And then, yeah, you cut across. You are now in effectively decayed suburban area. You go down a little bit from Canada, you cut across on another just like broad highway. You start to see caravans. So these are Brahmin hauling, just loaded up with stuff. Brahmin hauling carts that obviously people have built, and even folks Brahmin hauling kind of modified vehicles, like pre-bomb vehicles that have been, kind of partly scrapped and turned into trucks or carts for them to haul. But it's, it's pretty wide. It's like 6 lanes. So you occasionally see people. Folks seem, Zam, remarkably friendly now that you're in the cities proper. A little standoffish. But because you aren't wearing a vault suit, no one seems to look twice. They do notice Mortimer. But as long as you keep to yourselves, you're fine. Travel.
I'd just like to whisper to Stan during this part.
Yes.
Why do those cows have 2 heads?
Why do I look like I look?
Oh, right, bombs. Gotcha. Yep.
There you go, bud.
Oh, right, the apocalypse. Yeah, and you make a left travel. I'm gonna say if you probably overnighted in Canada, so it is probably in the afternoon when you cut across it. And actually, Zam, since you had asked about it before, you see kind of in the distance this green rusty sign kind of hanging at an angle, and you can just see through the corrosion and the climbing vines the word zoo. And you cut across and you make your way into Commonwealth Park. So what's going to happen? What are you going to do? So what you see before you is you kind of emerge out of this suburban residential area, and you see this sort of vast, relatively flat sweep of green, very, very overgrown, a fair-ish number of trees. You see some smaller outbuildings, but because this is kind of a 50s-ish situation, there is one very, very large kind of retro modern building in the center. You can probably see that there are what would have been outdoor enclosures. So kind of concrete areas with railing that has been knocked down or has just rusted to hell. It seems to be largely empty, but that one kind of shining, not exactly a box, but like a box that's got a little bit of a half twist to it. Not quite high enough to be a skyscraper. Sits there. It looks from a distance when you first see it to be relatively intact, but as you approach, you notice two things. One is your escort gets kind of quiet and they pull out their rifles and kind of are looking very nervously around. And two is as you get closer, if you can see that there are windows that have been broken out. You can see some just streaks of filth and corrosion on the building. It seems structurally sound, but obviously isn't pristine. All right, we're here. What's the plan?
We need to get a bird.
Cool. I think one of them is like, that's all you need is a bird? Came all the way to the zoo?
Yep.
I mean, I can get you a bird.
Yeah.
So I think one of them will just kind of look around and take aim with his rifle and let off a few shots. And then you'll see a bird kind of just like fall out of the sky and hit the ground. It's like, there's a bird. Can we go now?
It's a living bird.
A living bird?
Yeah.
You could probably buy those in a market somewhere. Like you need some sort of
You can get a free
special
one
bird.
here.
I guess. Boss, we don't have to go in there, do we? They're asking their leader, and he's like, no, of course not. You want to go in there and get a bird.
Yeah.
Why do you want this bird?
I just feel that I need a bird. I mean, I got Mortimer, but
Mortimer say, perhaps the radiation is affecting your judgment.
it's a possibility. However, birds are easier to pet than Mortimer is. It gets a little hot every now and then, especially
When I'm processing radioactive water to make it into pure water.
that, and when
It
you're
lets
using your
out a little
flamethrower.
vent of steam.
Well, came all this way. We might as well go get you your bird.
Yeah.
All right. First sign of one of us legitimately going to be eaten, though, we're out of there.
Hey, give me a
Unless it's by
perception.
bird.
I got no successes.
It's a straight up perception.
Yeah.
One success.
You're also kind of looking around. You know that bird that the soldier shot?
Mm-hmm.
Not on the ground anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at the soldiers. So you guys aren't coming in with us?
No.
I mean, okay. Can we
no
borrow
one
your
no
guns?
one goes in there. I mean, or if they do, they never come out.
No, well, I mean, you can either come in with us because I think you're our escorts, so you're supposed to, or you can give us your weapons and then we'll go in, get a bird, and come back.
Or this one, pointing at Royce, can stay with us so that we can protect the important messages that he has. You can go get your bird, and we'll wait a while. And if you don't come back, oh well.
Then I'm just gonna turn around and look smugly at Royce. Was that good with you, boss?
Have fun.
All right, robot comes with me though.
Yeah.
I want to go with Zam.
Okay. So Royce is staying with the soldiers, so they can protect the important messages that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Mortimer catches up with Zam. Stan jogs up. And so Stan, you jog up just in time for you can see Mortimer's rear eye, because he's got him kind of spread out,
Mhm.
is watching you as you approach, but then you see it kind of jerk in a couple of different directions. And then he very softly says to Zam, but you can hear it, I'm detecting movement in the woods.
Coming towards us.
Multiple targets.
Fantastic.
Follow
Zam's
your
gonna
lead, Zam.
Zim's gonna stop at the. I guess it's an archway entrance. Then we'll say.
Yeah, there's a kind of a low wall,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's obviously people drove through here before. You can see, I don't know. I mean, it's an alternate reality, but like Como Park, and Zoo,
Mm-hmm.
kind of with a few of the letters falling out, and then you see what was clearly a parking lot with some rusted out hulks in it. And then you see this building through some trees, and you're now close enough to realize that the bottom couple of stories have had multiple layers of reinforcement from the outside.
Mhm.
So just sheets of plywood and corrugated metal, just like kind of crudely placed over it.
Mm.
Royce, you want to give me another perception?
One success.
Cool. You catch movement out of the corner of your eye.
I will alert the guardsman and say there's something there.
Cool. So I think the camera sees the guards all kind of pulling out their guns and looking. Where? Oh, I think I saw something. So there's a little moment where they're starting to get to form a little bit of a defensive mechanism. Put a pin in that for a second. Zam, Stan.
Hey Stan, remember when we walked through that town the other day?
Yeah.
And
Sort
there's
of.
the cows with two heads.
Mhm.
They're from the radiation.
Yeah.
And those leech things were quite big for leeches, from what I remember. Have you been to a zoo where you're from?
No one goes to zoos. That's why all of the guards are standing outside.
So normally I'd ask, like my thought process was maybe Mortimer's right. Maybe my judgment's been clouded a bit because the animals are probably either dead or highly irradiated to whereas they're not their normal selves.
Yes.
Okay. Got a new kind of fear. I'm gonna pull out my gun and just keep it by my side right now. Why is this so fortified?
Because there are. Sorry, it just started storming outside. So if I lose power, I apologize. So sorry. Say that question again.
Why would this place be fortified and then just kind of gesture at all the fortifications and reinforcing walls?
So there are certain things you either run as fast as possible away from you, or you try to hide from them and hope it does not even get a whiff of your scent. There are such things called death claws and some big salamander-looking things. I don't know what they're called in the Fallout verse.
Gulpers.
There you go. So there's these animals that have grown probably roughly about 10 to 15 times its size that you probably know as just this tiny little animal.
Hmm.
I think they used death claws before the nukes, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
But
Yeah.
Zam probably wouldn't have known about them.
Yeah, they weren't in my books.
Okay. So the death claws used to be used pre-war as a way to wipe out an entire area by just dropping like 2 of them.
2.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like they live up to their name. Mortimer,
Yes,
how
Mr.
many
Zam.
how many things are approaching us?
Well, they don't seem to be approaching us. They seem to be circling the group of our friends behind us.
I'm gonna turn around and look.
Also, we are being watched.
As I look, I'm just gonna lean over and be like, "By whom?"
By what?
Yes. There. He'll extend the little flamer attachment and point. There's a camera.
The camera's moving.
Yeah. You can see the iris rotate. It's a modified version of like one of his eyes.
Yep. Gotcha. Did you want me to roll perception?
Yeah. Such a device indicates a relatively high degree of technology. Perhaps these are friendly folks who can help us.
Possibility. I got 2 successes.
I think you probably just kind of can barely see, and of course the sun is gradually setting. You can see the soldiers in the middle of the road, and in the kind of high grass around them, you just see disturbances moving quickly through the grass. Camera switches back to Royce. You are now kind of standing amongst these soldiers. And there's you hear birds, like a kind of like a chirping sound, like coming from your left, and then another chirping call coming from your right, and then more chirps kind of coming from every direction. Every time you hear a chirp, the guys with the guns are kind of aiming that direction, and then it goes totally silent. Do you do anything?
I'll call out to Zam and say, "Hey, I think I hear your birds back here."
I guess I'll just reply, "I think you should run."
One of the soldiers says, "I think it's right. This isn't good, boss. I'm out of here," and just takes off running down the road back the way you came. And then I don't know, like Royce, you've seen rad chickens. This is like a larger rad chicken. Only they only have one head. And their plumage is quite colorful. And they're also very fast. When half a dozen of them spring out of the tall grass and then pounce on the soldier who ran and just start ripping him to shreds, literally eating him alive. The rest of the soldiers immediately open fire, kind of just like panic wildly, like a leaf falls, like the wind blows the grass. They're not sure what they're aiming at. They're just blowing all of their ammo into the surrounding grass. I think you see, as soon as the gunfire starts going up, some of these little reptilian heads lift up out of the soldier and then whip towards you all and kind of go and start slowly moving in your direction. I think one of the soldiers has a little bit of extra gumption and probably shoots at one of them and hits it. The others, I think, scatter and then start moving through the grass. What are you doing, Royce?
I will rejoin Zam and Mortimer and Stan and basically say, all right, I brought you your bird.
So are you running, walking? How are you getting there? I mean, because you're probably a couple hundred feet apart at this point.
I will not full out run. I will kind of walk fast.
Okay.
It looked like running was a bad idea.
Good point. Good point. Just out of curiosity, give me a sneak. I mean, you're not actually sneaking. But you're being unobtrusive. You might want to spend. You might want to spend stuff on this.
All right.
Action points.
We'll go by a second die.
So we're down to 2.
Yeah. That's still only 1 success. What is my sneak? Is agility. I will give you 2 die to roll 1 more.
Okay.
So that's 2 successes, and I'm going to re-roll one of my non-successes for that. Okay, so I'm up to those 3 total.
Okay. I would say I think the difficulty is decreased to 2 because you got the soldiers making a lot of noise and attracting a lot of attention. So that'll get you an action point.
To 3.
And yeah, so you leverage the distraction. I think another one kind of leaps out of nowhere and like jumps on one of the guys. He's firing wildly. It's just like biting at his throat. He goes down. The remaining 2 turn and just like fire at him and the creature. I think by the time you speed walk back to Zamstan and Mortimer, you hear the last couple of rattling shots of a machine gun and then a scream that goes silent. And then some wet chewing noises. What are you doing?
I mean, I'm going to hustle up to those guys, get my gun ready.
I'll get my gun ready as well. Be like, all right, Zam, you brought us here. Let's go get your bird.
Yeah. I don't know if I count that as a bird or not.
They have feathers.
They also have scales.
It's true. And claws.
Yeah, birds have those. They're called talons. Well, we could shoot at them and die horrible deaths. Or we could slowly back up into this fortified building and maybe wait until they leave.
We can try. Let's try the fortified building.
Yep, that seems like a good idea. I'll also kind of subtly let Royce notice the camera that's moving.
Can't be any worse than them.
Yeah,
Well,
at least
it
it's
could, but
alive and has a brain.
So I think as you're moving towards the front of this building, of course, it's been completely boarded over. You walk by what was at one time kind of a big concrete planter. It probably had some sort of exotic or decorative plant in it. And in a little shower of dirt, this kind of pole ejects out of the dirt, and you see, like, as you're walking by, you see this line of like very faint light just kind of scan past you.
I'm gonna kind of freeze with the scan of the.
Yeah, I think it might even scan by you again, and then it scans by Zam like 3 times, and the last time very, very slowly.
Does that one more time, I'm gonna go blind.
Right. And then I think a super tinny voice says, "Please do not look directly into the scan."
Side eye and watch Mortimer stare
But so
into the
it's like a
light.
little bit of a rundown, like a tape recording.
Yeah.
Like maybe it was supposed to go off like when the scan popped up, but it was on a little bit of delay. You might have some retinal damage at this point.
Probably.
I think, and not even without even a perception, you hear off to your right, kind of around the corner of the building, you hear a little bit of a hum, and then a very loud kind of rattling sound.
Perfect.
Please make your way to the entrance and enjoy Como Zoo.
I would say like a fast walk towards the
Yep.
opening.
Yep, I agree.
Yep.
Not a run. Fast
Don't
walk.
run.
Well,
Yeah, Mortimer, don't run.
I am incapable of running, Mr. Zam. I think as the shadows get longer, you see kind of along the edge of the parking lot, you see a number of little heads kind of poke their way out of the grass, but they're staying in the grass, and they just kind of watch you with their little beady eyes as you make your way around to the left. There looks to be some sort of underground entrance.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still hearing that rattling noise as you quickly walk in that direction. You are just able to catch as the door to this underground entrance just finishes retracting up into the ceiling. You hear a chunk, 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 and see lights kick on. Clearly some sort of underground parking.
And we'll go ahead and walk right in.
Cool. As soon as the last of you crosses over, you hear that same clanking noise as that rolling metal door closes behind you.
I'm gonna go ahead and watch the door close, make sure nothing like tries to pop underneath it or any of these chicken things,
Smart.
chicken vultures.
Smart. Nope, nothing at all. It clunks down, and then you can see some sort of mechanism like come out of the floor and latch onto a post, like holding that door down very securely.
Well, as of right now, we're not getting back out that way. So, guess we'll just continue forward.
Yeah.
Royce?
Don't see any other option.
Hey. I guess we'll slowly walk forward.
You do. You move forward. You're not quite sure where to go, but the lights keep kicking on in front of you and then kicking off behind you. So it's quite obvious that you're meant to follow the lights. The lights in maybe a minute or two, not very long at all, kind of lead you into, or lead to basically a door. You kind of stand looking around, like expecting some additional instruction, but then all the lights except for the light directly over this door shut off.
Is there? Go ahead, knock on it. I guess.
It's just a metal door.
Just
Yep.
knock on it.
You hear the echo.
Try the door. Try to open it. I guess.
You turn the knob and there's a beep sound, and you can hear a clank as a locking mechanism comes loose, and you open it up. There's a hallway in front of you. There are arched sprayers set into the walls and ceiling.
How do they look?
Brand new.
Brand new.
Yeah. Like extremely well maintained. It's a decontamination.
Yeah. No, I know what it is.
Yeah.
I'm the smart one.
It looks in as good a shape as the decontamination hallways in the vault that you're used to.
Does it feel like we just walked into another vault?
Yeah. You
does
should
look
probably go
like it.
first, Sam, because that scanner really liked you.
Oh yeah, great. Now I can have like water in my eyes too now. Great. Yep.
It's not
So now
water.
I'm
Yeah.
aware of that.
So what happens?
I guess I'll go first.
You go first. As soon as you step over the threshold, the kind of white light flashes yellow. Moderate contamination detected, comes a voice through a hidden speaker, and immediately you're sprayed with this substance. Please keep
Right.
moving. So you
Walk
move
through the other
through.
side.
What?
And I don't think we're gonna like this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like this at all.
No, you're not. I would suggest that Stan, when you come through with Mortimer.
Why is that?
Well, maybe it'll off sense things.
Fair enough. I'll try.
Yeah. I don't think I don't think the spray actually affects you.
I don't know, but it's gonna freak out when it recognizes me.
No.
Hmm.
I think it does. I think it just does a surface decontam on you.
Interesting.
And Royce, you're gonna take a shower.
Fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you make your way into a kind of a receiving room. It is a room at the end of this decontamination hallway. There are windows, kind of long, narrow windows inset in the walls on either side. It is apparently dark, however, behind those windows. Like maybe if you put your hands up against the glass, you can see that like some equipment, maybe some consoles, but it appears that there aren't any lights. You wait for probably a minute or two, maybe long enough for the one of the most impatient of you to start knocking on the door. And then there's a little ping noise and a green light flashes. There's a buzz and the door is open.
Go and walk in.
Cool. I think Stan, you're not super patient. Stan, you step in to an elevator. Or there's like maybe a 4-foot hallway, and then you see elevator doors. The doors are open.
I don't think I've ever ridden one of those before.
You might have when you were in the vault.
Yeah.
That might be your only experience. I will say this. The construction here does not resemble the vault at all. The vault has a very kind of, like everything's really thick and reinforced. It has a certain feel to it. This is sleek.
So it looks like more like a business elevator than more than like a vault elevator.
Yeah, instead of being like a 50s version of futuristic, it's more like a 90s version of futuristic.
Okay.
Lots of glass panels with lights behind them.
I'm not gonna fully step into the elevator, but I'm gonna peek in and see if there's any like buttons or anything else in
No.
there. Looks like it's a one ride, one direction, guys. We should all probably pile in kind of roughly at the same time. I don't know if it's
Oh,
just going
You're gonna
to.
fit with Mortimer.
I mean, we fit in that closet.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, everybody in.
All right, well, you pile in. Is everyone certain they are going to pile into the elevator?
Yeah.
Unless there's stairs.
Nope.
Yeah, we're going in the elevator.
All right, so in for a penny and for a pound. Everyone gets in the elevator. The doors, bing, slide close with a little bit of a shh sound. And then you feel just a little bit of a something in your stomach, and a little light on your feet as it begins to rapidly drop. You're not quite sure exactly. It's not a very long trip, but I don't think anyone has the frame of reference to have a good guess as to exactly how far it goes. And you are, I think, probably facing the doors, expecting them to open. But what actually happens is that the rear wall just kind of slides up behind you, and you feel this wave of warmth. And there's I think probably the first thing that you hear is a rushing of water. And then you hear a strange kind of cry, some animal sound, kind of a hooting, honking noise, maybe some growling. There's a clear source of light behind you.
Been around.
Cool. You spin around and step out of the elevator. You are on a oblong kind of elevated balcony. You can the walls kind of curve up and on above you, and you can see by looking across that there are like layers and layers of these balconies around this kind of football field or larger sized underground opening. You can't see the source of light. It's a little bit above where your vision is cut off by the structure itself. But you can see this massive waterfall coming down from above. You can see the tops of very, very verdant trees of a variety that no one has seen before. And you see probably the head of a giant creature poking up above the top of the trees. Some sort of reptilian. And then I think you probably all step over to the railing and look down. And there's like a rainforest down below. And I think looking up, you see some sort of great kind of bat-winged creature flying in a circle, kind of dodging a little bit to avoid the waterfall from whatever its source. And then I think a voice is piped over the intercom, and it says, "Welcome to the Ark." So I think we probably put a pin in it there.
Yeah.
It is Dinotopia.
Great. Opposite of birds.
Well, they're not birds
No.
yet.
Yeah.
It'd be the opposite.
Well, that one flying is kind of bird-like.
That's just an aerial lizard.
A little
You could
bit.
argue that's what birds are now.
Okay, it's fine. You look at that and are disappointed that an Archaeopteryx flies by.
Yep.
And that very much looks like a bird. So yeah, actually, as the little iris closes down, we get a close up on Zam's face looking at Archaeopteryx going, "Burb."
Sure.
So you found your burb. You're also now trapped in. Someone has been making
Dinotopia.
dinosaurs underneath Como, which I'm sure is great.
Oh, yes. Seems common for Megasota.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
What are you going to do? Dinosaurs and hot dish. That's what Megasota's known for. Cool. Well, no one died. Although I was worried that Royce was
Wow.
going to fall into the mama leech and be sucked immediately dry by all the baby leeches. So that was good. I mean, okay, yes. All of the soldiers who escorted you are super dead. But you guys are
Yes.
alive. So yay. Well done.
I don't think Mortimer is technically alive or dead, but yes.
Mortimer says, "I'm very much alive," and then slices you open with his buzzsaw.
Perfect.
And then uses his pincher hand to like paint war stripes in your blood on his dome. He's gone feral. So well done. You are now trapped in Dinotopia. Because why not?
Awesome.
Don't worry. I'm sure there's not a plan to release these onto the surface and remake the world in someone's twisted vision of Utopia. Nothing like that.
No, that hasn't happened in this universe.
Maybe next
If
time.
not theirs, it might be
I mean-
Stan's.
Could be a good idea. Hey, why don't we let people know who you are and where they can find you? Let's start with you, Rith.
I am Rith with _13. You can find me on screen, occasionally in this channel, otherwise lurking with some other channel friends.
I'm your only villain or Phil. You can find me here at C+ Content or other sister channels around Twitch.
Exciting. I am the Backwin. I have my own channel. I'm playing through Shadow of Mordor right now. Started it yesterday, and I'll be continuing it tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. Other than that, I'm here playing Fallout and I think some other things eventually. Probably next year, though.
I mean, we have another month and a half. Yeah, and I'm Zero Daylight, GM, DM, narrator, whatever. This has been a little bit of fun in post-apocalyptic Megasota with a fair dose of silliness and murder and kind of horrific, monstrous creatures and stuff. But yeah, as often happens, you think, oh, well, it's just like wandering the wasteland. And then you come across a hole in the ground and suddenly you're in a weird vault with a bunch of Garys, or in this case, one or more mad scientists trying to remake the world in their image. It's just that image happens to be dinosaurs. We'll see what happens. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, don't know for sure what's up next because I'm out of town next week. But we have lots of things on the docket. So expect to come back for our continuing series of Call of Cthulhu, interconnected, typically one episode stories. We'll probably throw in some more survive kind of B-movie horror games, and if these guys or anyone else is game, we might find out more about what's going on in post-bomb Megasota. And the list for those of you who are on our Discord at community.c+content.tv will know the list of games on our spreadsheet is quite long. If you don't know, we love to play games that are either new or small or both, or aren't 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, although we've played a little bit of that too. But games that maybe get a little bit less airtime. Oh, by the way, I finally just got the PDF version of the expansion of The Real Thing. So we love the creators. Did a little collab with them when the first book came out. So I've got the extra book, so I'm going to read that on the plane and come up with some ideas to play that one. So yeah, so check the calendar, come back. If you do not follow us here, don't worry about it. But you could go over to the YouTube channel, which is cpluscontent.tv, and drop it a follow, and then maybe set that little alarm so that you can be notified when there is new content there, which is usually 24 hours after we broadcast live here. There's only like 1,000 hours or whatever of these folks and other folks playing a variety of games over there. So hey, go and check it out. And you know what? We will see you again soon. Let's say goodbye to our friends on YouTube. Then we'll come back here, chat a little bit more, and raid out. So bye, YouTube. See you soon.